come in and out. Folks are still watching the films, obviously. Yeah, can we get just a round of applause for all being here? Yeah, so this is the Haunted and Healing Q&A. I'm here with these fantastic, beautiful, attractive, very attractive directors. And I'm just so grateful to have y'all here. My name is David Gaines. I edited and wrote and co-produced the short film Gabardine and performed in the short film Gabardine. Thank you.
I'm Jasmine Lene, and I am the writer-director of The Love Machine.
Hi, I'm Darian Woodard. I'm the co-director, writer, and producer of A Kiss Goodnight.
Hi, I'm Daniel Hogan-Fobbs, and I'm the writer-director of Naughty.
Yes. So I hand-selected like all of the films and these beautiful humans because I do feel in community and in conversation with you as artists, which is especially interesting because we just met Danielle. But I was as soon as I saw your film, I was like, yes, you know, it's kind of that feeling you get when it's just if you could like a platonic, friendly love at first sight, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like you just immediately know this is someone that I need to connect with. So grateful for you all for being here. How I want this to go, it's going to be a really chill kind of vibe. I just want to ask you one question that I had as I was experiencing your films again and again and again. I watched them like endlessly. There's so much to digest in all of them. There was one thing that was sort of sticking out to me in the through line between all of them was this question of like imagination, the function of imagination, also how imagination can be a burden or a curse almost. So imagination can be weaponized against you, or imagination can be a tool for liberation and freedom. So I would just love to hear from if y'all have any sort of response to that question. I'm just deeply curious, because as like a fan of your work, what role does imagination play in your individual practices or in your films?
So I think that film in general, or art for me now, is like a way to escape. So imagination plays a heavy role in constructing the work. And when it comes to The Love Machine, I wrote that around a time where I really, pretty much imagination saved my life. To imagine a world that's outside of my own, or a world that I was coming from, because it also talks about past a lot. It really just gave me a way to kind of like explore different avenues, explore different ways to deal with a situation, to imagine my parents in a different light. But not, the parents in the film, but like it helped in ways to conceptualize this film. So yeah, imagination for me is just a real way for me to like really find that liberation in my reality. So yeah, I think it's throughout all the films and art pieces that I make, because this reality that we're living is something that we're creating, and if that's the case, it's our imagination that starts it. So yes, I just think that imagination is just an important role within my films and all the art pieces that I create.
So for me, imagination just plays a big part, in my personal life. I like to daydream a lot, and with the film A Kiss Goodnight, it's all about like daydreaming this like reality that like necessarily doesn't exist. Like this person's like grieving, and the other person's trying to move on from this like traumatic event. And for me, I just kind of like use imagination, kind of like be in one person's head, but also kind of use it to ground myself and realize that like this is like what's real, what's what are some things that I like just want to see or experience. So yeah, know how much I can say. But basically, that's what imagination is to me.
I think like for me, imagination is really about like connecting to myself. Kind of like how you dream is like a reflection of like your self-conscious and stuff. So I think a lot of the times it's easy to say like, oh, like I wish that I wasn't the way I am, and I wish that I could like fit into everyone's like mode, just be normal. And I think that like it's nice, it's like a beautiful dream to think that, but then once you kind of like shed that imagination and kind of like shed all those things that make you you, it's actually really dull and like it's like, oh, I actually hate it here now. So I think that like imagination for me is like a mix of things, like a mirror in a way, and it can feel like a curse, but it's also kind of like this is what makes me, you know, myself and makes me happy.
Thank you for answering that question. I am going to forego my individual curiosity about your practices in artistry because I can go get a coffee with y'all at any time. Essentially, we had people.
Can you answer the question?
She got me. She got me. I'm notoriously the worst with answering my own questions. For me, imagination has definitely been a double-edged sword. On one end is absolutely the foundation of my practice. It's the foundation of creativity. It is the last bastion of like liberation, I think, which is why any sort of fascist regime attacks artists, you know, directly and with intention. I think if you can crush people's imagination, you can control what they think possible for themselves. And at the same time, so it is this powerful tool. At the same time, it can be, for myself, it can be kind of burdensome sometimes as well, where when I think about imagination in the sense of anxiety or my like perfectionism or whatever, this imagined ideal of what perfection is. A lot of what my film Gabardine is about perception and about internalizing external gazes. And so a lot of that exists in the imagination where the imagination makes it worse than the actual thing is. So in that way, I feel like imagination can kind of be this dangerous, volatile thing. Yeah. Did that satisfy? Thank you for asking me that question, Jasmine. So yeah, I'm going to forego my own personal curiosity, and we solicited and asked folks to submit questions after seeing our films, and I read some of them, and I can't wait for you to hear them because they were really engaging with the work. So I'm going to do that. I have them right here. Let's see. Let's imagination. Let's keep it democratic. Yeah, go ahead, spit. Go ahead.
In anger, why the mask, and is the color important?
Yeah, that's me. I'm sorry. I said in anger, like that was the title of the film. So what, should I say it real quick? Why the masks, and is the color of the mask important? That's the question.
Okay, I'll start with the colors. The colors are important because I feel like the most, or I guess the main label that I see in like society is like, oh, you're boy, girl. Like it's very like binary and just like black or white almost. And so I kind of wanted something that represented that, like kind of like a bathroom sign where it's like you just see the two and that's all you have. It's these only options. And the mask, I really wanted to incorporate something that kind of showed that, like, it's more performative almost. And kind of like, it's not that they're less human, but it's like everything that makes them human is hidden within themselves and like behind some type of cloth that you never get to really see, especially as they grow up. And that's kind of why I had like Ethan start off without a mask, and then it was only after like all that work that he like shed his own color, and then eventually like got the mask.
I love the scene, like Ethan's like paper mask. I thought that was really funny. Yeah, maybe I can like sneak my way in. Okay, cool. I'll pick it. So what we'll do, we can pick it and then I'll read it, and I think that'll make it smoother. Okay. Another one for you. I noticed that you overlap timelines. Which timeline felt the most real?
I'm kind of confused with that question, almost. Overlapping timelines. I would assume that that's referring to the end of the film.
Maybe like the transition.
Okay. To me, they all felt really real. I think that like for Ethan, when he's like a child, it's like this raw emotion where he's just like being himself. But I also think that when he grows up, it's still like a really like raw and visceral reaction to everything that's happening. But he's like slowly kind of like dying in a way. And so to me, I feel like the whole thing for him is real, and he's kind of just like being pulled through this life towards just like nothingness in a way. And so yeah, for me, I would say it's all real.
Let's do a couple more. Why was it shortened in Gabardine? so Gabardine is also a live show, performance, a poetry show that I put on with an amazing team here in this space. So the film you saw, the live footage was shot here in February, and it was an hour-long show, and Gabardine is 16 minutes. And so the question, why was it short, is a somewhat long one, but I think it breaks down to two reasons. One is that I do want a long, like, document version of Gabardine that you would see like a poetry special, like you would see a comedy special on Netflix. I want to do something like that, but for poetry. But I think that was the first time doing the show in February, and most times like artists tour it and refine it, and kind of get the best parts of it, and then they take that. So for me, it was a matter of not feeling satisfied with where I was at with the show, and wanting to sort of create this thing that was not a document, but that was its own living sort of being. So that's one part of it, and I think the other part of it was quite genuinely, film and theater. Put this down. Film and theater are two different mediums, and it's, in my opinion, harder to maintain or excite or interest or maintain attention spans in film than it is show. It's like, oh, we're all here. Like, I could do anything right now. I could like jump up and just dive into the audience, and we would have that experience, you know what I mean? But in film, that potential is not there, right? And so we need kind of, it's just like, for me, my taste as a filmmaker, I was not satisfied with what we had to make Gabardine like this full feature film. What we had, it felt like I could make a really powerful short, like a tight short film, and say something, even if it isn't one-to-one exactly what Gabardine touched on. I feel like it's its own living thing. And folks who saw it are like, I didn't even know it was a live show. It just looked like a set, but that was very much not a set. It was a live sort of production. So that's that. Yeah. We'll do like two more, and then I'm gonna open it up to y'all. Dear Darian and Taja, what life experience influenced your film the most?
So the life experience that influenced the film the most was just kind of like, I guess, going from like 20 to 21. It was pretty treacherous. Yeah, I don't know, it was just a lot going on during that time, so I just had like a lot to write about. And I also was kind of just like exploring grief for like, not the first time, but like, again, like kind of like adulthood and like being like alone and stuff like that. So that was like some of like the main influences and just trying to like, I don't know, grapple with the idea that like, even when like people die or when things end, it's never like truly over. And it's kind of just like a cycle that you're either gonna be like stuck in or something that you're gonna just like break out of.
I'm gonna cheat to this one. Jasmine, when was the last time you yourself have entered the love machine? So first, before you answer that, just for the folks who are tuning in and did not see the film, could you explain what the love machine is and then answer the question?
Alright, so the love machine, it follows this young teenage influencer scientist who creates this time machine to go back into time where you fix a situation that caused trauma. So in general, it's a time machine that restores the love that was not there at the time, also curing and resolving intergenerational trauma. Sorry I rambled on that because the love machine is now like 3 years old. But I actually have only imagined myself in the time machine when creating it. And I think I am still in there. And having that journey while I guess still being in there, I'm still healing myself. And I think that's the purpose of the time machine, is to heal oneself through going back into time. So I think I do that frequently, either while journaling or just thinking to myself. It's not a one-time thing. It's a whole journey, and I think that's going to continue for a very, very long time. So to answer that question, which I never really thought about, but I'm still in that time machine. You know, my life is a bit different than what it was when writing that film. And a lot of shifts and a lot of stepping into oneself and a lot of leaps of faith and a lot of internal work has been happening since.
Yeah, I love the idea that the love machine is something that is accessible, like, to us at all times. I think that's really awesome. Okay, I want to open the floor now to any folks who have questions live. If not, we can keep answering these, but I know at least one person had a question. So now is the time if you want to approach the mic.
I have a question, but I apologize.
Would you mind speaking a little, just so you
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm curious about the curatorial process, because the film in museums is often experienced in this like sculptural way, but I had seen most of these films in the traditional like cinema experience. So I'm curious about that, but I'm mostly curious about the artist's response of like presenting your films in this kind of sculptural maze-like environment. And it's also like you're like led through, so the story builds over time, right? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. That's an excellent question. I'll open that up to y'all first, and then I can talk about my thought process. Yeah, how did it feel, if I'm summarizing correctly, how did it feel to have your films presented in this sort of way?
I thought it was like super dope. Like when Dave came with the idea of like a haunted house to walk around and like watch films, I thought that idea already was like super dope, and to be alongside like filmmakers and like genre and similar themes, I thought it was like, I don't know, to me it just felt like you were kind of like you were getting your entire like movie night out in one night, and you're able to experience like a bunch of like different directors and different stories, but they're all kind of like, you know, weave together. So I thought that was super, super awesome. And you kind of like, also just like a technical sense, you just get to sit down, get headphones, and you just get to like watch this film. It kind of like felt like I was like watching it alone, but like I like looked over, Daniel was like next to me, and we were like experiencing the same thing, but we were also like experiencing different things. So I just thought it's just like an amazing experience. And yeah.
Originally, I thought it was going to be like a normal like movie watching experience, and I thought it was just like haunted house themed and Halloween themed. And then Darian was like, no, we're like moving through a space, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And even though they told me that, I still did not understand what that meant until we got here and we got into that room and like we sat down with the earphones, and I was like, this is really like personal, and it kind of like it made me feel almost like, I mean, in a literal sense, we did get to like have a separate room for each film, but it gave me the sense that like, kind of like what Bettina was saying, you're building up a story, and as you go through, you're like learning and taking new things that kind of inform the next piece, and then at the end you need to reflect, which is what I think film is like really about, and art in general. So I thought that was like really beautiful.
I think the whole journey of it is beautiful and intentional, and also very intimate, in which I love that when it comes to screening a film. I didn't imagine it to be like this either. Also, you know, when Dave brought the idea to me, even though you mentioned it before, like, the love machine's kind of, you know, sinister. Like, it has like a little dark twist at the end. And like, but it's not really there, but it's there. And I'm like, yeah, it does. But I never like thought about that. But the way that it like, you know, came all together, it does give that type of feeling. And seeing it amongst other films here that actually have that kind of like feel to it in terms of like heart and blood and glory, and then also your personal life that you're sharing with us. Or is it personal? Is it personal? I don't know. But that gives off that, right? Which the curation of it and bringing it back to your film that it gave an optimistic, you know, we're not just going through this just for like the pleasure of seeing people cry, right? We're not going through this for the pleasure of just like seeing people hurt or dealing with their emotions through watching cinema. But it's also an ending to it, right? How does these films really impact us? How does it actually act on change? I love the last part of it with acceptance, because I think we're all here because we relate to something of it before even watching these pieces of art. So I appreciate the intentional part of it. Like this curation was done with a lot of thought and a lot of thinking about others, you know? And that to me is just like a beautiful curation of art, you know? You did it. Like this is something that's way beyond what you think. I mean, again, the traditional sense of screening a film is in the theater, right? But we get to have not just the exploration of these films, but actually traveling within different homes. Now seeing it, you have different structures of sharing these films. It's just great.
Thank you so much. Do I really sound like that? Like, your film's so sinister. Is that really like, that's how I felt talking.
We were in a place where we were like kind of quiet. Oh, it was at another film screening. So you kind of like,
that's even worse. I mean, I'm like, my film's really dark. I really appreciate that question because I myself was curious. I really didn't tell them much on purpose. And I appreciate the trust that demands. Because yeah, this could have been anything, and even purposefully, even as an audience, I didn't like, you know, I was trying to be clear in the marketing, but just enough to get people here without necessarily like giving you a maze of the space. Like no one saw the space prior to coming here, and that was very intentional. Because I do like to play with expectations. I do like to cut to the core of what I think I come to, and what I think a lot of folks come to film for, which is, like you said, connection. I think the best way to foster connection is intimate, right? And I feel like these films feel so intimate, something so intimate about them. But I felt like the best way to manifest that in a screening would be to have it be in small groups where we're all listening in headphones, where I feel like we're just getting more alienated sort of as a society, not to be on like a soapbox or anything, but this is this experience is in response to that alienation that I think is being promoted in our current just like climate. So yeah, creating this space was really intentional. And yeah, I am so grateful just for the trust, I will say. And this was a life-changing experience just for me personally. And I could go on and on, but I see eyes are like, come on, bro, I'm trying to, it's a school night. No, I appreciate it. I'll be here too. Yeah, did I, yeah? Do you feel like satisfied? Okay. Okay, excellent. Yeah, any other questions? Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say thank y'all for this creating. I'm really excited to see like all of y'all's art, and yeah, it means a lot as a Black core lover. But also, I wanted to ask Jasmine specifically about, so yeah, like the use of like technology and AI. Like, I'm curious what your thoughts are about like, you know, right now, like the use of AI, and like what do you think the role of AI is or could be within like healing or within art? And also if anybody else has thoughts on that too. Yeah.
So the question is, how does AI play a role in our everyday, or like how do I feel about it?
Yeah, like your thoughts on the role of AI as an artist specifically.
I would say, I'm not too sure as an artist,
Yeah.
but as a human, I think that it's something that is growing very fast and it's very scary. And I try to, when things are new, because nothing really in this world is new, but when they appear as that, I start to think about the past a bit and other, you know, big inventions that happened, like the computer or the Industrial Revolution. Like all these things created a shift in our world, and we had to adapt to it. And it still impacted us in our everyday, but it wasn't quite subtle either. It was all abrupt. So when I think about AI, I kind of think about how do we adapt to it, because it's so powerful. It's so, I would say, you know, there's billionaires that own it, and these factories and warehouses or whatever are being created, like, without us really even knowing. So I just think about what does it look like to work with it, because it doesn't sound like it's going to disappear, unfortunately. Like I said, it's like almost like the internet. You know, we use it all the time, but at a time people were probably against it. But I don't know, I haven't really found both feet on it, on how to like work with it, because I think that's eventually what's going to happen. Or it can be a different thing where, you know, people shift the other way, and that shift can be something where they tap out completely, or you try to keep within their normalcy. But as an artist, I don't know, because I never really thought about using it as an artist. I would say it will show up in films, right, to explore these different ideas, to work with it. But as a creative, I don't know.
I didn't necessarily thought, but I guess like, but like I do agree with Jazz. Like, it's definitely something that's gonna be, you know, very present. Like, even like, cause I like teach as well. Like, a lot of the kids that I work with, they like to use it, and I feel kind of like not conflicted to tell them not to, but it's just like it's hard to tell somebody not to do something that's like progressing. So, but as far as like using it in like my like personal art, I don't. Just because I feel like it just takes away like authenticity, and just like also the fun that comes with creating, because, you know, creating is just problem solving. So I feel like if you can't really problem solve when you're like creating something, you should just, you know, I don't know, go to the drawing board and just try and just keep figuring it out. So yeah. I'm sorry.
too much to say on it, but I will say that like, at least like in like the recent last couple of months, I have been using it like with my writing. Like I'll write something like a journal entry or like poetry, and it's kind of like stuff I wouldn't show other people, and then I'll like give it to AI and I'm like, what do you think about this? And it's really nice to kind of like hear an outside perspective on my work sometimes that I wouldn't show people, and that kind of informs like future work that I do, and I'm kind of like, oh, do I believe what this thing says, or like is there something different, like how does this feel, is it right or wrong? And so I think that like maybe in the healing process and like in terms of like mental health, that could be a thing where it's like you give it something and then you kind of like analyze what it gives you back and see if that like aligns with yourself. I think that would be really cool.
I don't have anything interesting to add, truly beyond what's been said here. It is new, and I think we are still, it's tough even comparing it to things like, like the internet and social media. It's like, it's this new development thing. It's like all these things have different costs, even just environmentally, and I'm not even pretend like I'm the most educated person on it. So I will say that I do think AI has a place, and there's some things that like AI can take care of that, human beings just like may not want to, but just like anything, it's just like fodder, I feel like, for capitalism to exploit. And that I do have concerns about. Me and my personal craft, I respect how you're doing your thing. I could never, I feel like I would, that would just do crazy things to my mind in terms of feedback, because I'm like, whose voice is this coming from even, right? Like this thought, this idea, this criticism or feedback that I'm getting. So yeah, it's like a new thing. I also don't have 2 feet on it. It's something I'm interested in exploring more. There are cool ways of exploring it. There's something called the poetry camera. Quick plug, I'm not sponsored at all, but it's a camera that it's a camera that has an AI algorithm in it, and you point it at something, and the AI algorithm generates a poem based off of what it's looking at. And I think there are ways that can be very interesting in terms of there's still some kind of like user creativity function, right? Like you are choosing what this AI is capturing. And so I do think there is room, like beyond the doomer kind of idea about it, there is room for it, but I don't think it's how it's being kind of used and pushed right now. I think there are a lot of like ethical concerns that we should be talking about more. So thank you for asking the question. Yeah. I think we have time for like 1 or 2 more questions. Yeah. How y'all doing? Sorry, it's a long walk.
I'm also a filmmaker. I'm a creator, and I have a lot of anxiety when creating film. And I am like waiting, as it's being done. Typically I'm an actor and I'm also a choreographer, a martial arts choreographer. And as I'm doing it, I'm worried constantly, and I sometimes forget to look for the glimmers. So after it's done, I try to force myself to find those glimmers. What glimmers have y'all found within these films that you've created?
Thank you for that question. So what glimmers have we found in these projects that we've like kind of pour our souls into, blood, sweat, and tears? For me, Gabardine, the glimmer has been literally this. Every part of Gabardine, even down to the part, like really what I want to do, because I'm an actor, similar to you, I wear several hats, actor, filmmaker, poet, and Philly's art communities are so segregated, right? The poets go to the poetry stuff, the filmmakers go to the filmmaker stuff, and the thespians go to the play stuff, the theater stuff, And so, but Gabardine, when it happened, like you had actors next to filmmakers, next to poets, like people who had never been in the same space before. And so really, and even artists behind the scenes, like when we're shooting the show, we had our film crew come to the rehearsals. And so then we're having the theater team have conversations with, so we have our lighting designer who was talking to the cinematographer about how to combine theater lighting with film lighting, which they have 2 different needs, right? So there was this kind of fostering of dialogue and conversation and connection that just like I had never been a part of before, and that has been such a gift throughout this entire experience. And I think that's honestly what inspired me to do something like this, where it's like, oh, connection is the whole point. It's the whole point. It's not to be like, oh, they're so talented. Like if you left Gabardine and you're like, oh wow, David's so talented, I'd be like, ugh. I feel like I failed, right? Like really, it's about what did you think about that? Like what did you, like inspiring conversation, inspiring ideas and generating ideas. So yeah, but that's been the glimmer, and today I feel all glimmered up, you know, with that. So yeah.
I think for me the glimmer is being like, it's kind of similar to what you said, but like being able to share the work and kind of like, you know, I don't know, experience the audience reactions, but also like even before like the work comes out, being able to like work with like my friends who are like fashion designers, people who make music, people who make art, and kind of be able to kind of create this space and create this world, and then do all of that work and bring it, you know, to y'all, bring it to the audience. That's, I don't know, to me it's super cool because they're able to just like see their work in like a different light. And then also the editing for this film specifically was like a huge feat for me because I don't really like to edit, but I've like recently like, you know, been working on my like, you know, doing my reps and editing. And this film was like really fun to edit because I did it in like a non-linear sense, and it took like a year to edit, so that's like the glimmer, like just being able to like, you know, do all the hard work and kind of like be able just to put it out and let it be out there on its own.
I would say that it's kind of an echo of what you two just said almost, but I'm a lot like you, like I'm always worrying, I'm always like really nervous and scared, and so I think for me, the most important part, like the part that I feel like the most like heartwarming was getting to work with the crew. Like when I was on set, I was like, wow, I'm like actually really inspired by all the people around me, and they're like, when people say like, oh yeah, it's your film, I'm kind of like, I didn't build everything that like makes the film itself, and like even when like a lot of like the changes and suggestions that came from the film came from the crew, like just listening to them, and I don't think it would have been what it was without them. And so to me, it was like the collaboration process and just getting to hear like what happened in their minds, and then being able to say like, okay, let's create something that like makes all of us proud instead of like what makes me proud. And so yeah, it was like really just watching all of us work together on like a single goal. It was like, wow, like people can work together, people can come together and do one thing, and that was like really beautiful to me.
The glimmer for me, I would say, is the ability to pivot. Like I didn't know I could do that, and I'm saying that because when I was done with the film, the next step is like film festivals, and that part can be expensive not just because of the festival fees, but also traveling to these places. And I would say, I don't know how many film festivals, but like let's say 5, I only went to 1. You know, so I never really got to see, other than its premiere, really got to see how people respond and actually have those type of conversations. And what it allowed me to do is have my own thing, you know, and create a artist talk around it. And when I did that, I got so many like messages afterwards, whether it's from friends or family about the film. And even though around that time it had been like a good year, maybe a year and a half in, since the film has been like done. And I was really going back and forth with like, I guess it's done. You know, if I went through this film festival circuit, I guess it's done. And if Black Star has it like in Xfinity channel, I guess it's done. But it didn't feel like it. And it started to feel like I need to share this on my own. And that's where the pivot happened. Where that was my first time, I mean in many years I would say, where I had my own screening around it. And I talked about, you know, I was being very vulnerable with the audience and created a talk that allowed me to talk about the creative process and inspirations around it. And I don't think I would have been able to do it without the film, without being broke, without not having access. And that to me is a glimmer in it because it allowed me to challenge myself. These things are not, we work so hard on these sets. Like I even had a panic attack with mine. And for it to be something where it just ends, nah. Like you just gotta take it on your own step and just do it on your own. Philly's great with resources. This space is great, but there's other spaces that will give it to you for free, or you got a community of artists that will help you out. Like that also is, I know I'm talking a lot now, but like that's also nice to see when people come out for you. For me, I would speak for myself by saying I'm in my head a lot where I'm like, well, no one will do this for me, no. But yet I just had a whole set of people do things for me in terms of making this film. So it's just about like not giving up on or letting your thoughts kind of control the outcome. It's really about putting your words to action, and seeing what happens after that.
I can't think of a better note to wrap this up with. Can we just give a round of applause for our amazing celebrity? Any short final thoughts, ideas, anything you want to plug, any upcoming events, or anything that you want to offer to?
I do have an exhibit at Next Fab, which is too far from here. It's on the same block. I have an art installation that's also playing The Love Machine on loop on a CRT TV. That's happening, I would say, Sunday to Thursday, from 4 to 6 at the Next Fab. Down the block.
Hey guys, so if anybody wants to follow me on Instagram, I have all of my work up there. It's just Darian, D-A-R-I-E-N-C, Woodard, W-O-O-D-A-R-D. And I have a web series coming out December 3rd. It's called Court Memoirs, so if anybody's interested in watching that, it'll be coming out right now, so yeah.
So good.
I will also give you my Instagram. It's dir.il, so dir.dyneil. And thank you for all being here, and thank you for your questions. And
Awesome. Our Instagrams are also in the programs if you're interested. And if I could just have one more minute of y'all time, I really want to thank our sponsors, and I know not just because I'm contractually obligated to. The arts are under attack right now. It is a very hard time, just strictly funding-wise, to be an artist and get support. So when I say these names, I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, am grateful for the platform, for the trust that they gave me. And those names are the Painted Bride Art Center, the Independence Public Media Foundation, Philadelphia Cultural Treasures, and Scribe Video Center. Can you please just give them some love? So for them, and this is the last time I asked you to applause. I just want to clap yourselves for being here. Like it's like almost 10 on Thursday. You're so beautiful. Please, greet someone that you didn't come here with on your way out, because that's why we're here. Connection. Thank you so much.